So the first thing I'm going to do is check my closing loop, and since I just changed it, it looks like it's pretty good condition, less than 10% wear. I can go ahead and put my packing tool on. Then I'm going to come over here and check my toggles. So the way I set it up, I make sure that everything's flat. I take my brake strand, my brake line, and I'm going to set it up like this. So make sure all the twists are out, and I set it up like that. So I have the main brake line on the inside, and then I have the excess on the outside. So then I take the toggle, put it through the cat's eye, stow the toggle, and then I flip the whole thing over, and I get these parallel and measure it out. Then I put the excess through the keeper, and then the last thing I do, since this gets a little tight, is I put the second part of the toggle in. And making sure that this is all the way in, and then I go and do that on the other side. So then I take my brake line, make sure there's not too many twists. I pass the cat's eye below the metal ring and get any twists out, and I put the excess to the outside. Then from here, I'm gonna stow the toggle, flip this over, stow the excess, and then get the second part of the toggle in. Then I'm gonna set myself up to do my continuity check. So make sure that my through rings are down and that my risers are flat. Then I'm going to do my continuity check. I'm going to pick up my lines from my risers, and I get my 3 fingers like this, other hand like that, and then I'm going to check the continuity of my lines. I'm going to make sure there's no step throughs below the slider, make sure there's no step throughs above the slider. Make sure my brake lines are clear. Once I check my continuity, I can go ahead and let go of the lines and hold them all as one. I throw them over one shoulder. I'll come behind me and I'll pull any slack out of the lines, and then throw it over my left shoulder to start. I'll take the nose cells and put them to the opposite shoulder, which is my right. Then I'm going to start to count each nose cell. So this is one nose cell. I'll take it and count it behind my back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 cells. Then I'll take my nose cells into my right hand. They were in my left. And I'm going to give it a good shake like that. And that'll help sort out my A lines and my B lines, which are in there. So then I'll take my nose cells, put them between my legs, and make sure that my canopy is back to its original way of facing. Then in order to find my A lines, I just open this up, and I could see the first A line right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alongside the 5th one, I have this blue, which is my center cell. I'm just going to take my hand and go straight down and then to the right. Then if my my A and B lines go through this grommet, I'm going to follow this to here. And this is where my C, D, and brake lines go through. So then I'm going to open this up, and now I got a pretty good view of between my B's and C's. So I'm going to flake in between my B's and C's. Then I'm going to find my C's. I'm going to grab everything else that comes through this grommet, let my C's down, and I'm going to let this one D line go so that I have more space to flake with. And I'm going to flake between my C's and D's, let that go, and then I'm going to bring that one D line back over here. And then I'm going to take the tail of my canopy in between each brake line and just go to the outside with that. And if I need to, I'll fix this as well and pull the slider down. Then take my lines and pass them onto my right shoulder. Again, I'll look for my A lines over here. Here's the first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on the fifth one, I should see some blue right there. So I'm going to take my left hand alongside the blue, go straight down, and then to the left. And that is what a good flake should look like. Blue in the middle, because that's our center stow. Then our A's and B's go through here. So I'm going to follow this to the next grommet. I'm going to take this, hold it out. I'm going to open this up, and then I'm going to open this up. And right there I can see my B's are here, my C's are here, and I'm going to flake right in between them. That should cause my C lines to line up. So I'm going to grab my 5 C's. I'm going to take everything else in my other hand. So this should be my D lines and my brake lines. I'm going to let this one D line go so that I have more space to flake. I'm going to get these 4 ribs to the left side, flake in between my C's and D's, let that down, and then bring that one D back over. Then this is my first brake line, so I'm going to flake that material to the outside, in between these 2 brake lines to the outside, and then in between these 2 brake lines to the outside. And since this is kind of tucked, I'm going to fix this, pull my slider down, and quarter the front and back of the slider, and quarter the left and right of the slider, and then push right down in the middle of the slider. Then I'm going to hand myself the tail of the canopy, and I'm going to take the tail and wrap it around the lines. At this point I can let go of my nose cells. I'm going to straighten the back part of the slider, make sure my nose cells are flush, and I'm going to take both ends of this, make sure it's even here, and I'm going to wrap my canopy. I'm going to do some twists. So I'm keeping this tense. And then put that twist in between my legs, work on the twist over here. And then I'm going to lay down my pack job. And that's basically what we want, is our lines to be straight and this seam right down the middle. At this point, I can get my pilot chute and bridle out of the way, and I can set up my D-bag so it's right side out, like that. Next thing we want to do is, before we touch anything up here, we want to make sure that we protect our slider. So I'm going to get 2 knees on my slider. I'm going to try to just manipulate the outside of the canopy, not what we flaked and everything. So just getting this free of wrinkles. And then I'm going to push from my thighs, from my stomach, from my chest, and then from my shoulders. Then from here, I'm only going to worry about from the middle point down. So I'm going to meet the 2 sides in the back, My left hand's gonna hold that. My right hand is gonna go where my knees were. My left hand is gonna go right about a third of the canopy. My hands are gonna stack like this. My left hand is gonna come around the back and fold like that. And our goal should be to have the edge of this the same level as this edge, as well as keeping the center seam right down the middle. So I'm going to put 2 knees on this. I'm going to try to just manipulate the outside of the canopy. I'm going to get my left hand behind in the middle. I'm going to hug in this top portion to get the air out. I'm going to take this bridle connection point from my D-bag. I'm going to fold it over my left hand, as well as some of this blue material here. And then I can sneak my left hand out. And you can see how the seam is right down the middle. I'm going to stuff in some of this yellow stuff here. And I'm going to take this, push it down and to the side, and try to fold into this area right there. I'm going to crunch up all this yellow stuff again and try to get it into this portion right here. So what I'm trying to do is fold into this portion right here, as well as trying to get this closer to here, and my left hand's going to grab that. And I'm going to take my right hand is going to take over. I'm going to fold some into this area and then tuck that under. I'm going to slide my D-bag in a little bit. Then I'm going to replace my knee with my hands. Take the pack job and fold it over my hand. Then I'm going to use my knee just a little bit to flatten it. But where I'm really controlling from is from this front hand. So I'm going to fix the left side, and I'm going to switch hands. The left side's controlling the middle, and then the right hand is working. Then I'm going to take control back with my right hand, and you can see that really just this one hand is holding everything. My left knee is really just kind of helping keep the pack job deflated. I can then take my left hand behind and protect the slider. I can quite literally pick up my entire pack job like this. I could slide the D-bag back a little bit, pick up my pack job, and then place it over the bag. Then I'm going to get the left side going while my right hand is still controlling the pack job. I'm going to take the middle of my D-bag right here, in between these 2 rubber bands, and put it under my knee. Then I'm going to grab from this rubber band. I can actually take my right hand out now. I'm gonna push with my right hand. My left hand is gonna pull the bag over the pack job. So I've gotten as far as I go here. So my right hand's gonna continue to push. My left hand is gonna look for this grommet down here and pull backwards. And then I'm just gonna keep alternating from here to here until I start to make progress. And then I'm in a good spot where I can leave it. I'm going to continue to put the pack job in right after I tilt the bag up. So then I'm going to start off by grabbing my slider here and protecting it from opening up. I'm going to tilt my bag up like this, and my left hand is going to grab the bag. My right hand is going to slide this in, and again over here my left hand's grabbing the bag, my right hand's going to slide this in. And our goal is to keep that center seam right in between these 2 rubber bands. Then I'm going to grab this grommet right here, which is going to be my first locking stow, as well as my slider. And I'm going to take them and push them straight down. Then I'm going to take this rubber band and put it through the grommet. I'm going to push the grommet to the base of the rubber band before I turn the rubber band. Then I'm going to put my left hand through the rubber band. I'm going to grab my lines with my left hand. I'm going to go ahead and pull any slack out of the lines here. There shouldn't be too much. And any of that slack, I want to make sure that it goes into this section right here. And then I'm going to take my rubber band, pull it over my hand, and my hand is still holding on to that. So you can see how clean the inside of this is. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on this one. I'm going to stick the rubber band through the grommet, push the grommet to the base of the rubber band, and then turn the rubber band. Put my left hand through it, grab my lines, and finish that stow. And the corners are pretty easy because they're loose. So go ahead and repeat the same process. And push that in if I need to. And that's it for the locking stows. Then for this portion, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the D-bag and put it in between my legs like this. All right, there we go. So I have the D-bag in between my legs. I'm going to take my lines and come to this side. And I have two measurements. I have one finger in here. I have the edge of the lines right at the edge of this. And then I have the edge of my hand right in row with the rubber bands. So I'm going to take one end, wrap it around, the other end passes over. And then take that same end, wrap it around a second time, and that other end passes over again. And I start to walk forward, same measurements, wrap it around twice, like that. It looks like this one might make it a little bit too short, so I'm just going to leave that one off. And towards the end, we should have minimal slack in these lines. And then I could take the D-bag and place it into the tray. I should have already popped this out before, but I can still do it. Then I'm going to take a packing weight and prop my bag up like this. Then I'm going to make sure that my lines are straight from the 3 rings. I'm going to make sure that, I'm going to make sure that my risers are straight from the 3 rings to here. And then our toggle is going to face the reserve tray. So like this. So I get this under the secondary riser cover, under the primary riser cover, and then I can close the riser cover itself. And then I want to pull any slack that might be in here out. So I'm going to pull from here and tuck in that secondary riser cover. Then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to make sure that the 3 rings are there and that my risers are straight. So I can take this, put this under the secondary riser cover, put this under the primary riser cover, close that, and while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and check that my RSL is tucked in all the way, which it's not. I'm going to push my RSL into this pocket, and then I could go ahead and pull these tight. Cool. So now I can move my packing weight. And come onto this side. So once I'm here, I'm going to take these two flaps right here, put them over here, take my bag and put it right on top. I'm going to get my bridle out of the way. And if you can see this crease right here in the back of the container, I'm going to keep one hand up here to hold this. And with my other free hand, I'm going to pull on the leg strap. And then switch sides. That should get rid of that crease. Now I want to sort out my lines. So I'm going to pull from here, I'm going to pull back and down. And I'm going to trace the edge of the bag right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch hands. I'm going to pull back and down and then trace the edge of this right here. Just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this in at like roughly a 45-degree angle. And that is so that less of the lines stick out of here. So once I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of this excess bridle. So I don't need all of it. I only need about 6 inches or so right there. Then I'm going to take my packing tool and put this up so that these lines stay tucked in. I'm going to put 2 knees, one here, push down, and I'm going to pull up on this flap to get the pack job to sit in the container. So I'm going to pull up, and then I'm going to take the 2 sides and also pull up on that. If I need to, I can tuck in my secondary riser covers better. Then I'm going to take my packing tool, put it through the top. When I'm ready to pull, right at the last second, I'm going to get off, push my left knee, and I have this in my right hand. So I'm going across my whole body. And you should be able to see 2 grommets lined up right there. Then I'm going to take this and put it to the right. And I'm going to put a knee like right about here. And doing that, I can actually let go of my packing tool. So that way I have full use of both my hands. Once I get my packing tool through the right, I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to push down. And I'm going to take this and pull the blue over it like that. Then I'm going to take my packing tool and start to get it in the right direction. When I take my knee off, I need to start pulling, like almost immediately. Then I can take some of my bridle and get this a little bit closer. I'm going to push to get this tight all the way. Then I'm going to put a knee right here. Again, I'm going to pass my packing tool through. I'm going to push down on this gray part, pull over on the blue, get my packing tool facing the right direction. And when I take my knee off, I'm going to pull. I could fix the riser covers so that they look nice. If I need to, I can fix the corner. And I'm going to get ready. So I'm going to put my left knee here. And I have the packing tool in my right hand. And I want to make sure that I press on here so that this doesn't rotate. So left knee, left hand, and then right hand pulling. So I'm going to pull. Get enough of my closing loop through so that I can switch hands, grab my pin, and put it through the closing loop. Then I can take my packing tool off. I can take this off and make sure my pin's pushed all the way in. Set my bridle up like this so that there's a little bit of a loop there. I can fix this corner so that this is sitting nice. And then I'm going to route my bridle in between these 2 flaps right here. So I'm going to put it into this corner and then push up. Just like that. And that way, there's no bridle sticking out. Then I'm going to take my bridle and lay it flat all the way to right here. Then I'm going to take my bridle and make sure there's no twists. So if there's any twists, I'm gonna spin my pilot chute until it's straight. Then for this one, since there's a square here, we don't have to have any particular direction, but if there was a rectangle, we would want to make sure that rectangle is being held horizontally. So I'm going to take my pilot chute like this, and I'm going to lay it flat on the ground, like a big circle, with the mesh side up. Then I'm going to take this and fold it in half like that, flatten this out, and then take this and this, and I'm going to fold this back. And I'm going to flatten that out, go 1/3 this way, 1/3 this way, and then I'm going to move my pilot chute all the way to the corner of my rig. At this point, I'm going to start my S-folds. And on the last one, I might have to go a little bit shorter because I want this to stick out the outside. So I'm going to fold this 1/3 like this, and then 1/3 this way. And I want to make sure that the handle is on the bottom and not the top like this. So the handle's on the bottom, the bridle's closer to the main pack job. Then I can take my container and place it on its side, and I can stuff my pilot chute in. Once I get to here, I can even stick the handle in a little bit and then pull it back out, so no pilot chute is sticking out. I'm going to keep my fingers on the edge of the BOC and start to flatten this, so that way it's an easy pull. And then when I get to here, I'm going to make sure that my bridle is flat. I'm going to stick any excess into this corner right here, and I'm going to pull the corner as close as possible so that this distance right here is minimal. And then I usually check my pin one last time. It's smiling, it's all the way in. This is good, and I can go ahead and close my main container.